Jonathan Isaac was a first-round draft pick for the NBA in 2017. Last year, he signed a contract extension, locking him up in Orlando for 5 more seasons. Now, he's had his share of injuries along the way, but certainly turned setbacks into opportunity and a real solid career. Jonathan is now joining via Zoom. Jonathan, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we're going to talk about your apparel line coming up. But first, let's talk a little about your career. I mentioned injuries sidelining you for some extended periods over your career. Notably, the torn ACL was a big one. At one point, you're missing 2 seasons. Did you ever doubt that you could come back at such a high level of performance?
1,000%. Not only the way my ACL was torn, but right after that, I tore my hamstring on my right side, and I also tore my groin on my left side. And so being out for 2 seasons was really, really tough. I had a difficult stint of doubting God, not really understanding what was happening, why it was happening to me. But if it wasn't for my faith, the people that I had in my life, my pastor at the time, my wife, my church family, I definitely wouldn't have been playing basketball. And the fact that I'm able to do it again just speaks to God's power and his presence in my life.
Jonathan, that's interesting because, I mean, you're known as a great ball player and as a man of faith who really loves Jesus. But you also just said there you did doubt God a bit during that season. Can you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, 1,000%. And so, when negative things happen in our lives, I know the Christian reaction is, we glory in tribulation and everything is supposed to be great. But what a lot of people don't know, it was right after I decided to take a stand for God. And so I didn't kneel in the bubble for the national anthem or wear a Black Lives Matter T-shirt. And so I'm doing this thing. I'm like, God, I'm doing this for you. And the next game, I tear my ACL, and it took me to a place of God. I don't know. I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense to me. And so I definitely went through a period of even depression, of just being like, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going through this time of recovery, and I was signed to Nike at the time, and Nike decided not to re-sign me while I was injured. But now getting on the other side of it, I can look back and go, God, you were there the entire time, and you were just proving yourself to me. You were proving yourself to be faithful. Now we have Unitus. I was able to write a book during the time that I was injured and still come back to play basketball again at a high level. Again, it just speaks to God's goodness and that he's truly in control. And we can't control our circumstances or what happens to us, but we can trust in a God who can and does.
Jonathan, do you ever have trouble not putting your identity in being a pro athlete, being a pro NBA player? Is that ever a challenge for you?
That's a great question. I literally was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was telling him, I said, how can we possibly seek to humble ourselves and be humble before God when we're constantly being praised all the time? People want pictures, people want autographs. And, that's nothing against them, but I'm looking at myself going, God, my desire is for you to create in me a clean heart and to humble myself before you. But at the same time, I'm being propped up in every way, in my life. And I was just talking to him about ways that I can, be diligent about humbling myself before God and not getting that big head or trying my best not to find my identity in basketball or what other people think about me. It is a challenge, but I'm definitely mindful of it. And I try my best to, recognize that God, everything that I have comes from him. Every high, every low, even people wanting to know my name is because he's given me a gift, and, it belongs to him.
How about being a Christian in the NBA? Is it difficult?
It is. Just because of the culture, that's definitely a big one. It's just the culture of the NBA is not necessarily a Christian one. And just, being young and having, access to money and to be able to do whatever you want at a really young age is a recipe for disaster. And I've definitely, have had times of struggling early in my career, and, just thankful for God's grace and mercy, and just overall, being a Christian and having the right people around me to hold me accountable, and, just try my best to strive to be like Christ.
Well, I know another dear part of your life is being a husband and dad. Talk about that a little bit. What has God taught you in being a father and being a husband?
Yeah, I mean, so much. I think one thing that comes to mind is I heard somebody say, becoming a father has made me a better son. And I've really resonated with that, where looking at my 2 babies has just, transformed the way that I feel like God looks at us. And, it's truly just an unconditional love. And it's something that's so pure and beautiful. And it helps me to, God, you're looking at me the same way. And then just being a husband has challenged me to become a better man in every way. It's been awesome. I'm glad that I did it early on in my life, and To already have kids, and I'm only 27. Everything's just great.
All right, well, in addition to playing for the Magic, you've also launched your own sports and lifestyle brand, Unitus. There seems to be a deeper meaning behind the name. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the name actually came from my pastor, and he was a big part of just really integral in all of this coming together. But it's just about uniting us, bringing Christians together who love God and desire to rep Him and to make His name known. And so Unitus is to give people touch points and connections to each other and to stay connected to God. And when I talked about a little bit earlier of Nike deciding to not resign me while I was injured, that actually opened the door for Unitas to be born. And so I went to my pastor and said, "Hey, I don't have a shoe brand. When I get back from injury, I'll probably go with Nike again or somebody else." And he said, "Why don't you make your own shoe?" And that conversation turned into the Judah One, which was the first NBA signature sneaker with visible Bible verses on the outside that I wore all of last season. And we're working on the Judah 2 for me to wear this season. And it's blossomed into, why not just do a sneaker? Why not do an entire brand centered around connecting people to Christ and to each other? And that's how, the Unitas name and brand was born.
And we've got a university right across the street here, Regent University, and you have partnered with Regent's basketball team. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was our first opportunity to sponsor a college team, and that's a vision for us moving forward that we want to continue to grow upon. But it's amazing to have Christian, high schools and colleges and universities all across the country that we're going to look to continue to grow and partner with, and their teams to be able to wear our shoes. And again, it's a perfect relationship. With it being a Christian school, their desire is to continue to grow in their faith, and now they get to do it with the Word of God on their shoes while they play.
So, Jonathan, you're 19 years old when you got drafted. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're 27 now or so, been in the league about 8 years. Looking back on your journey, how do you describe it? I mean, you still got many years to play, but at this point, what would you say?
Oh man, that's a great question. How would I describe it? Man, I would say eventful. I came into the league saying I want to experience everything that this life has to offer, and I did that. Early in my career, I said I want to go to places. I want to hang out. I want to spend money. I want to do all of these things, thinking that it was going to be, fulfilling. And now being on the other side of it, I have truly come to the revelation. Even though, us and our humanity, we go back and forth all the time. But I've come to the revelation that nothing satisfies like Christ. No amount of money, no amount of success, no amount of anything outside of God truly satisfies our souls. For the long run, especially. Maybe we may feel like it does in the moment. But yeah, I would say I've had an eventful career. I've had moments where I felt like God was leading me to do things that were really, really difficult and challenging, and I had to trust Him through it. I've had, like you said, my fair share of injuries that have tested my faith and grown my faith and matured me. And I feel like God is, continuing to write this story in a way that He sees fit with Unitas and with me still being around to play basketball some more. So I'm grateful for it, and I leave that at eventful for sure.
Jonathan, final question. You've got a tremendous amount of influence. Do you have any advice or counsel for younger generations in staying strong in their faith, no matter what the world says or tries to pull them into?
You said influence. I would say run from it. run from influence, and until God gives it to you. Because it really is something that is really hard to handle. And if your heart posture before God is, God, I just want to know you. I want to know what it is to be in relationship with you. I want to know what it is to seek your face and to be loved and known by you and really understand that. Then God has a plan for each and every one of our lives, and He'll give you exactly what you're supposed to have. To desire it and to go after it, I think is a recipe for disaster.
Jonathan, thanks for being with us today. We pray blessing upon your family and your career. Want to let you all know, to find out more about Unitus, go to weareunitus.com. Jonathan, thanks again so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.